So I was shooting a video on this job about excavating a pad for a slab on grade foundation, and something popped into my head that I thought would be fun to do a quick little video on, which is what are some of the biggest optical illusions that I end up getting feedback from my customers about. Well, the slope of a lot is one of them, and I talked a little bit about this in that slab on grade video, but it is hard for the eye to really see how much slope's on a lot, especially when grass is growing up and it's a big lot. So one of the things I've heard so many times from customers is I'll ask them, is the lot, how is it sloped? Is it flat? What's going on? And they'll say, oh, it's almost totally flat. I mean, I've heard this before, only to go out there and find out it's not totally flat. But understandably, it is hard to see when this lot had all kinds of trees on it. It had high grass. It's amazing when it finally gets excavated to see how built up it is in certain sections. So, we can kind of see behind me, we are really built up on the front. The homeowner he wanted it higher in the back, or I should say closer to the grade in the back, which means you're built up more in the front. It's compromise, one thing or the other. If we drop this pad down to where we're down there by street level elevation, then he's going to have a huge slope in the back. It still, though, blows people away when they come out and see their pad. So one of the things I heard from this homeowner was, I can't believe how high it is on this one side. And this one is high, but it pales in comparison to some of the lots I've built on, where even I didn't realize what it was going to look like till I came out. They had the pad at the elevation we talked about. And one thing that can happen is you can have slope from, let's say, going across a lot sideways, left to right slope. And then you're putting a really wide house on it. You're putting a house that's 150 feet wide. Well, in that 150 feet, you can have a lot of fall or a lot of slope. So maybe we were trying to be just above the natural grade on one side, but we end up with an 8-foot, Olympic ski jump on the other side. So that's just one of the optical illusions that happens when we're building slab on grade houses. Another common one, and I got this one from this homeowner, so I got the double whammy. I have heard this more over the years than probably any other optical illusion, and I've had people call with some real concerns over the years on this. Now, this homeowner wasn't overly concerned, and actually he was commenting about the form boards. Usually when I get the call, it's about the actual slab itself when it's been poured. There is an optical illusion or a brain phenomenon that when a foundation is poured, it looks smaller than you think it needs to be. So I've actually had customers in the past call, and to say they were concerned was an understatement. I've had one or two maybe tell me we messed it up. We did things wrong, and they aren't thinking inches, they're thinking feet. They're thinking this foundation is way off from what it's supposed to be. And the funny thing is, especially back when I was a one-man show builder, I would sit out on these foundations. I'd spend 2 hours in the 100-degree sun getting sick, measuring everything. I mean measuring everything. So we have multiple quality control processes on dimensions. So not to say nobody's ever made a mistake on form boards and had an issue with the foundation, but I've had people call thinking it was feet too small, and I said, I promise you it's not. I know because I was out there myself measuring it. These days we have other, superintendents measure and things like that. But it is an optical illusion. I've experienced it myself. You walk out and there's some phenomenon about looking at this piece of concrete. It just doesn't look as big as you think it needs to, especially with 2 stories when you do have smaller footprints. You may have a 5,000 square foot living house, conditioned living space, but because it's a 2-story, half of that's upstairs, the pad's a little smaller, your mind is saying, we can't fit a house this big on this pad, but you can. He thought this about these form boards, which actually maybe just because I've done this forever, this looks pretty, this is a big 1-story, so to me this looks pretty big. It's even got a 4-car garage, so to me it doesn't look that small, but there again, in people's heads, they're imagining a house that's so big. Now the interesting thing about this phenomenon is then you start framing a house and things start coming back more into perspective. There's just something about, this is the reason model homes are furnished. When I first got into this industry, I was on the sales side. Not much of a salesman, to be honest with you, but that's what I did. That's how I got into it. And I can remember going to spec homes, you know, vacant inventory homes we were building with the old company I was with. And I would be with a potential customer who would say, well, this room's way too small. We can't fit, you know, a bed, a dresser, end table, whatever. And I can remember circumstances where they called out the exact furniture I had in the model home, and the model home had the exact same size bedroom. And I'd go, well, let's go back to the model. And we'd stand in that room and I'd say, here's all the things you just called out, and it fits perfectly. And they would go, wow, you know, it just, when I was in an empty space, it looked smaller. So there is that phenomenon. I don't know why it happens, but, you know, I just wanted to talk about a couple things that happen over the years, you know, and those are two of the most common. So if you are having a house built, if you are a builder who is new into this and need to know what to expect from homeowners, that's one of the most common ones you'll see. So if you're having a slab poured and you go out there and you think it looks too small, certainly you can check it. You can have your builder check it. Odds are it's just that, you know, optical illusion that happens when it starts getting framed up. And it will even go through different phases of that. Sometimes it looks bigger and then it looks smaller. It's just some odd things that happen with the brain. If you've ever been in one of those, you know, funny homes where they look like they're making water run uphill, we all know water will not run uphill. They are doing things that it is running downhill, but it's an optical illusion. We get some of that same stuff here with sloping lots and with foundations when you're looking at them finished. So just thought I'd do a little video on that. Appreciate it. See you guys on the next one.